Welcome, everyone, to the 12th year of Conversations with Archbishop Kurtz. Welcome, Archbishop.
Well, thanks, Brian, and good to be able to wear the masks, to be 6 feet apart, and honor the needs that we have right now. My gosh.
We've certainly all learned to do a lot of new things,
We
haven't
sure
we?
have. We sure have.
Very good. Well, we have an important show today. You know, 2020 may go down in history as one of the most challenging years in a long, long time.
Yeah.
Lots of issues. And so today we're going to explore two of the key things going on in our church, in our world, in our community. The second segment, when you interview someone, we have a special guest, Nett Turner, who's our director of the Office of Multicultural Ministries. And then this last part, you're going to talk to us about the sin of racism and how that affects all of us. But this first segment, that's why we're wearing the masks, is going to talk about COVID-19, the pandemic. My goodness, what an experience for all of us.
Yeah. You know, someone, I think it was Eva Gonzalez in one of our daily prayers last month, she talked about, here's this little virus that you can't even see, and look at the effect that it has had, kind of turning upside down our culture, our routines, and our lives. And yet, in the midst of it, Brian, what's loud and clear is the church's teachings on the common good. We need to protect one another.
Sure.
That's as part of our faith. And so I don't like wearing a mask. I don't like, of course, I like having the cleanest hands I've had since I was 2 months old. But in many ways, whether I like it or not, I have a duty to protect others, and that's the common good.
Yes, yes. You know, when we go back to March, we had that very strange experience of, under the leadership of our civic officials, to stop doing programming, close the schools, and even suspend having Mass in our churches. What a very strange time. And even the imagery of closing churches felt so awkward. I remember thinking about it as, are we closing, or are we just shifting and dispatching our people out? What's your experience of that?
I the same thing. Well, you may remember that first weekend we said social distancing, hygiene, masks. We get it. We need to do that. The closing, we actually waited an extra week and reflected a little more upon our church's teachings to make sure that it was genuinely a pastoral decision. And I'm glad we did. And of course, as you know, I was in great contact with the bishops throughout our province. Not that we had to do all the same things, but that there needed to be good consultation. And I did that too with our priest council and with so many other groups, to be able to hear from people to make sure that we're making wise decisions. You're right. I never dreamed that the live streaming, think of Holy Week. There were more people who participated. Now, I have to say, I worry now about the effects of isolation. I've been talking to a lot of priests, making some calls, and knowing that we have to keep physical distance. We have to make sure that we limit, or what they call mitigate, the spread of COVID. But as we do so, we have to be aware also that as social human beings, we need to attend to our mental health, our physical, emotional health. So there are a lot of challenges, but many things that we actually were pretty good at. I have to say, our people were really very, very good.
Weren't you amazed at even how early, because that was March, our parishes moved from being, what do we do, to all the things they began to start doing. Creative activities. You know, obviously it started with the cathedral doing, as you were mentioned there, broadcasting all the Holy Week services live in real time. That's never happened here. And then so many of our parishes, who would have thought how many times we would go on Zoom and other versions of...
Brian, you may remember that we did the Chrism Mass. That Tuesday, and so I knew I wasn't going to have the priests in the same church with me, so I made 170 calls or whoever, and guess what? They were all home. So you know, that's the other good thing about the COVID, that we were all kind of close to our homes, and I was amazed at the pastoral creativity and really the concern for others, which was really very, very important with our people.
You know, I'm very aware of the needs that people had at that time and still have. The social services that quickly went into further operation.
Catholic Charities.
Catholic Charities.
And our parishes
Yes,
were
both.
very good. Even some of the grants that we received were dispersed to many parishes. And you're right, parishes have always been a kind of a haven for reaching out to people in need. And no doubt about it, people who were calling those families who normally receive communion in the home, who were reaching out regularly. I think the grace of Christ was alive.
Well, and some wonderful heroic actions. People, parishioners, but also some of our priests, visiting nursing homes from outside the door, waving at people.
Well, not
talking,
only
praying
that,
with people,
giving anointing of the sick.
anointing the sick that
They
way.
were called by the hospital, and really courageous and heroic. You're absolutely right.
That's right. So formation, worship, social services. It's like we actually didn't stop anything,
No.
but we did it in new ways.
No, I remember writing to, you remember this too, writing to the parishioners. I think, 65,000 households received a letter, and in it, it was a litany of gratitude.
Yeah.
And it mentioned in one letter the 12 or 13 different events where ministries and the work of Christ continued. And I don't even know so many things that went on with individual people reaching out to family members, to others in need. So really, I think the charity of Christ. We say the common good is meant to bring together a composite of things so that both as individuals and as a community, we are fulfilled, that no one is left behind. And I think, not perfectly, but I think we can look back positively about the effects that are still going on, of course, as we mitigate things.
How about the broader community? How is the church's place in that in this
Yeah,
kind of
very
time?
important. I mean, we're always going to be a witness, so we want to be good examples of what's going on. We also want to take an interest, especially where there is vulnerability. And I think good dialogue and cooperation. And I think that was something that was marked both with our, I think of my contact with our mayor and with the governor, good and healthy, respectful dialogue that needed to be done so that we all were working together.
Never would have thought we would spend day after day talking to the health department, talking to civic. What a different time.
Brian,
but
we owe a debt of gratitude to you because you did yeoman's work with others in trying to keep us all safe and communicate.
well,
That was big.
Lots of people did lots of good work. Even their record got out every week, so that's very good. Well, thanks, Archbishop, for this, and thanks all of you for tuning into this segment. Stay tuned when we have a special guest coming up in the next segment.